Hey everybody, Carlos here, and I am back with a new tutorial on how to make a dancehall style rhythm from the beginning to the end. I was working on this particular rhythm for a Jamaican artist, Missile Influence, and I thought I would share some useful tips on sounds, drum pattern, and briefly I'll explain the basic song construction in terms of the intro, hook, verse, chorus, and outro. Let's take a listen. The key is F minor, and I'm using three chords: the F minor, B flat minor, and E flat major. It's a kind of sound you might want to use in dance music, electronic dance music as well. For this particular example, I'm using Nexus Synth, and the sound I've kind of liked is this preset, German trumpet. Now I'll briefly talk about song construction. I decided to build this beat, this rhythm on 16 bars patterns. As you can see, this is the basic song construction. I'm using Akai's MPC Touch, but you can recreate this in digital audio workstation of your choice, because the piano roll will look the same and feel the same with the grid piano notes, and you can change the value. Now let's take a listen how the intro is transitioning into a hook.
Yeah. Man, I'm inside.
The synth is repeating the same chords. However, I'm introducing new elements in this 16 bars loop because we want to slowly build attention towards the hook, where everything explodes, and the hook will later serve as a chorus as well. So due to the unique workflow inside MPC Touch, I created the shorter 4-bar loops, but if you're working in your digital audio workstation, you can create longer MIDI regions if that's easier for you. So now I'll show you how I use the build up to transition to a main hook. The hook continues for next 16 bars. Let's take a closer look at the drum pattern I wanted to show you. I'm using 2 kicks, 2 snares, some percussions, two hi-hats, crash, and this is pretty much how the drums are. This is the layout. That's how you should do the drums. There isn't only one way. This is one way of doing the pattern, but to achieve that well-known sound, this is how they make it. And if you notice, I'm not repeating the same pattern throughout the song. I'm changing patterns. I'm slightly changing patterns throughout the song, so it doesn't sound the same. You probably noticed there are a lot of sounds that are very similar to the sounds they use in trap music. So you can use the same snares and hi-hats. The snappier. And yes, it's clipping a little bit. Please ignore that for a moment. I'll fix that later. Let's take a closer look at this drum pattern, how I stack those kicks one on the top of each other, and then introduced another snare. But the other snare is not. You see, the other snare is like in between, and the space between the kicks, you can feel it with the percussion. Now what you can do also, try some other variations, see how this works. Yeah, nothing like that. Let's move it to the original position. You can experiment, you can move those percussion, those notes, see what fits. Not everything works with everything, so you can experiment. As you can see, I'm changing slightly the pattern to avoid repetitions, and the pattern is not the same during the chorus and verses. It's slightly different. You see how the notes are changing. It's a good idea to use different sounds, different snares, and different hi-hats to give it some varieties and make it sound more interesting. You saw how I used those different patterns throughout the verse. I'm even changing. You see, these are all different patterns. So this is how you should do program the drums. Moving on, let's examine the bass and what's the bass pattern. Usually the bass goes with downbeat with the drum kick, but you can add some notes between tastefully. It doesn't have to be very busy, so let's take a look how you do that. Here I went back to drum piano roll and copied those. These are the hits, these are the notes on the kick that which creates that pattern. Boom, boom, pa, boom, boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. And I will paste those. Yeah, I'll paste those notes inside bass, piano roll. And I'll go back to piano roll to show you how those notes that I use for the bass, they match the notes on the kick drum. So that's we're still in verse 2, and now finishing the verse 2, I'll show you the transitioning into chords 2. Yeah, it sounds the same. We need vocals to make it more interesting. Here. The chorus 2 is to be repeated twice, and now we're transitioning to a break.
Man a missile, wicked, wicked. Man a missile, from the constant buried. Man a missile, wicked, wicked. Man a missile, yeah. Man a missile, wicked, wicked. Man a missile, man a missile, wicked, wicked. Man, yeah.
And after the break, the chorus is repeated twice, and then it goes out into the outro. Here's the outro, the end. That's it. That's the whole song in terms of the construction. And there are a few more things I want to show you.
Full of splatter the roof. I'm get 20 skull blood down fridges.
I chopped his vocal, and you can get really creative.
I'm get instant buried. 20 skull blood down fridges. I'm get instant buried. Yeah, I'm get instant buried. 20 skull blood down. I'm get instant buried. Full up with practice. So the road, I mean I like I'm with me. Man a missile. I'm get instant buried. I'm get man a missile. I'm get instant buried. I'm get instant buried. I'm get instant buried. I'm get instant buried. 20 skull blood and fridges. I'm get instant buried. 20 skull, I'm get instant buried. 20 skull blood and fridges. I do, 20 skull blood and fridges. I'm get 20 skull blood and fridges. I'm get instant buried.
And there's another sound I used during the break, and I wanted to show you, also using Nexus. I like this sound, and I'm using again Nexus, another instance, and this is the sound. I mean, this is the preset. You can go an octave higher. I like this sound, very nice. I also use this sound, it's like a razor. And this is the instrument I used. It comes with Air collections, Air instrument collections with MPC Touch. So that's it. That's how you make the dancehall style, the rhythm from the start, from the beginning to the end. And please subscribe. I hope you like the content of this video. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment. Thank you. Cheers.